Church. I hope you're enjoying this rainy Friday morning. It's Pastor Mike. Today's devotion is from Paul's letter to the church in Philippi. In chapter 1 and verse 27 and 28, Paul calls on that church while he's still away in prison, and he calls on them to live in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Now, that statement sounds so good, and we're left wondering, well, what does it mean to live in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ? And these are a great couple verses because Paul gives three different ways that will be affected, that he'll know that they're living in that manner based on how they do these things. He says that while I'm away, I want to hear about you, and ultimately, when I come, I want to see you doing these three things. First, that you are standing firm in one spirit, that the church would be united, standing in a single spirit, completely sold out to the purpose that they have as the church of Christ. Second, that they would be striving side by side with one mind for the faith of the gospel. It's almost a reiteration, but it's different because not just that they have the same spirit, but that they work together. It's not just about thinking or saying the same things, but doing work together, hand in hand, with one mind for the faith of the gospel. That we would talk the talk and walk the walk. And the third is a great response because of those first two things we do. The last one in verse 28, that we are in no way intimidated by our opponents. Because when we are praying together, talking together, encouraging one another, and working together for the gospel of Christ, we can stand against anything that comes before us. If somebody disparages our character or our mission or our ministry itself, the things that we say, what we do, when we are together and united, it's water off a duck's back. We can continue to be strong and firm in our faith and in our conviction. And Paul says that this is evidence of their destruction. They're standing against the gospel that you're committing yourselves to as a community, but it is evidence of your salvation. When we work together, when we stand together, we are stronger than we are alone. We can stand up against anything, and lest we think that it becomes patting ourselves on the back for how great we are, or how much we've done, or how unified we are, Paul reminds the church in the end of verse 28, and this is God's doing. You see, all that work are things that we can't accomplish on our own. We've seen what we do when we're left to our own devices, and usually we make a mess of a situation. We leave it worse than we did when we got there. But with God's help, with God's doing, with God's movement within us, and His spirit of reconciliation, His spirit of power, and His saving grace, we can accomplish all these things and live worthy of the gospel of Christ. So I pray today that you would live worthy of that gospel, that you would live into the calling that God has for you, that His Spirit would strengthen you, and that you would also be strengthened by the Spirit of God found in other church members, in friends, and in family, in the encouragement and the love that people can provide, because that will stand against all manner of opposition or obstruction that you might have in your life, and let you respond with love and not with anger or bitterness. May God bless you today as you walk in His light. May you find His path always in front of you.